friends. Oh my gosh, I don't know what that was. Well, hello friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Megan, and today we're doing a kind of secret TBR reveal. This is a TBR I've been working on for quite some time, and whoop buddy, it is hot in here, so we're just gonna roll up the sleeves. But this is a secret TBR, as I was saying, that I've been working on for quite some time. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Big reveal. My first secret TBR wrap up is going to be the top 10 books of the 2019 Owlcrate roster. Owlcrate was my very first subscription box. I received the February Beasts or Magical Creatures box for my very first ever book subscription box. So it only feels fitting that my first secret TBR should be a ranking of their 2019 book choices. So, I am including the Gilded Wolves, which was their January pick, even though I did not start until February. And I'm also including any of the books that were like a secondary book to the main book. So I think there are 12 or 13 books total on this list. I lied, there are 14 in fact. That's a lot of books, wow. So basically we're gonna start at number 14 and then work our way up to number 1 of the 2019 Owlcrate books. I'm gonna be doing a quick synopsis of them, my general thoughts, and then moving on to the next one because we have 14 books to cover here. Also, this was really hard to narrow down, especially as I got closer to the top. Even the like lower ones were kind of hard to narrow down. Almost all of these books were at least 4 stars for me. Let's start at number 14. Number 14 I actually already have unhauled. It was I Hope You Get This Message. This is a book about a like modern day society in which it's like they've been told by this alien overbearing race that they will only have so many days left to live. So everyone is kind of like running around being like trying to get their last messages out to their loved ones, so on and so forth. And we are following 3 different characters, and honestly this one was so boring to me. I can't lie. I honestly don't remember much of what happened because I just did not care. That is why it comes in last for me, and unfortunately, yeah, it just was not my favorite. I feel like I'm giving a really poor synopsis, but that's because I just truly don't remember everything that happened. But I remember there being 3 characters, 2 of them fall in love, and yeah, it was basically this alien race saying like, fix yourselves or you're gonna die. And the alien and the human race, we've got some people who are like, well, we're gonna die, might as well suck anyways. And then other people are like, hey, let's maybe turn things around and be good. And it's just absolute chaos. And that's basically all I remember. So moving on to number 13. Number 13 is also one that I have unhauled. It is Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan, I believe it is. I didn't mind the first book. It did feel a little bit like it fell into some, I don't know what the word is and I don't know what I'm doing. Like it fell into like just falling back on a trope, and there wasn't actually like sustenance to make me want to care about the book and the characters. But the tropes themselves were cool, so that's what made me interested, like elemental magic and a competition and royalty. Like I love those things, but I felt like the book relied too much on those tropes rather than being good itself. Yeah, but basically we are following a chosen one main character who I honestly don't remember much about this one either. I'm really sorry. I kind of suck. But there's blood magic, and it's got some folklore. It's wintry. Wasn't for me. I did kind of like the ending. I enjoyed the first book enough to want to pick up the second, but during reading the second, I ended up DNFing it, and that was like one of the first books I've ever DNF'd. So that took a lot for me to not care and to DNF a book. So that's where I'm at with Wicked Saints. Number 12 for me was We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. I am going to throw in the disclaimer that I read this as an audiobook, and that is 1000% not the way to go with this book. I can assure you that right now. That's the reason I haven't unhauled it yet. I do want to give it another future redemption chance at being good, but as an audiobook, I didn't really care for it that much. I, again, liked it enough to pursue the next book, and I did read the next book, and that one was somewhat enjoyable as well, but overall, I do think I need to reread this book. We are following Zafira, who has been tasked with going and finding this sacred object, and then Nasir, who is an assassin prince, and he is tasked with killing Zafira before she finds said a sacred object. And of course, love ensues, and you know, he can't do it anymore. It's fine. But again, I need to give this one a second chance, so that is why it's at number 12. And then here is where it started getting a little bit harder to narrow down my choices, because yeah. Number 11, we have Crier's War by Nina Varela. This is actually in a recent video I just did, Miss Frizzle's science fiction recommendations and top 10 sci-fi books. So I did really enjoy this one, and it's basically, we're following Crier, who has been arranged in marriage to a general. However, she just isn't really feeling it, and she's debating with like following her heart or following her father's orders, because she is next in line for the throne. However, she ends up falling in love with a human. By the way, Crier is a cyborg of some nature, and then her and a human fall in love, and humans are like the lowest class of this society, so of course that's like a forbidden romance, so it has that element. And of course Crier starts having empathy towards the humans and like questioning everything, and I really enjoyed this book. Number 10 was The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. This is a really good book for spooky season, or if you you know, are just always in the spooky mood, like my friend Jade. This is following a girl who is basically the caretaker of bone houses, which are dead people who have not necessarily re-risen, but are kind of like zombies, but they're skeletons. So they are like animated skeletons or reanimated bodies, and she is tasked with like keeping them out of the village. We're also following a young man who at the age of, I believe, 3, got lost in the woods and then was taken in and has become a map maker. However, he has come back to the place he originally got lost and wants to like create a map of the woods he got lost in, so that he can, 1, potentially find his family, but 2, like make it so that people can actually navigate this area. And he teams up with the girl main character in order to navigate the woods and protect himself from the bone houses, because that's where they kind of remain. And yeah, it's a really cute novel about like grief and loss and when to let go and that sort of thing, so I really enjoyed this one. And then here's where it started getting really hard to narrow down what books would go in what place. Coming in at number 9, we have The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chakshi. I really enjoyed this one. I read it pretty soon after reading Six of Crows, so I understand why people kind of relate the two because of the heist elements, and some of the characters are somewhat similar. However, I believe that this one totally stands on its own and totally has merit of its own. I love the characters in this book. I love the diversity and the representation in this book. It also has a lot more of like historical fiction mystery elements rather than like magical fantasy elements that Six of Crows has. But basically we are following Severin, who was the heir to like a lordship or something of that nature, and his emblem, like house emblem or some like inheritance piece, has been like stolen from him, so he is on the move to claim it back. And it's a lot of fun. He like gathers misfits to claim this back, so it's so much fun. And actually this book, The Gilded Wolves, is our pick for March 2022 if you'd like to join the young adult book club and read along with us. I will probably be reading The Silvered Serpents and The Bronzed Beasts in I think that's the name of it, in March, April, May respectively. So if you'd like to join for that, I will link the YA book club down below. Coming in at number 8 is Winterwood by Shay Earnshaw. Shay Earnshaw actually has another book. I believe I think it's The Wicked Deep, that's becoming a adaptation of sorts. I don't remember if it's a TV show or a movie, but that's super exciting. I haven't read that one yet. But back to Winterwood, we are following a young girl who is like the keeper of the woods, and she is the only one with like magical abilities that allow her to pass through these woods and come back out alive and sane. Until one day she goes into the woods and finds a body buried in the snow. She goes to like further bury it or bring it out or something, and in the course of like uncovering him from the snow, she realizes that he's actually still alive. So she takes him back home and tries to figure out how he got in the woods, how he's still alive, and everything of that nature, because there's a boys like boarding school across the lake from the woods. So she has like, it's almost like a murder mystery in a way, but it's so much fun because it has fantasy elements and witch elements. I really like the way that witches and magic are portrayed in this book, so now I kind of want to reread it. Number 7 is The Guinevere Deception. This is a King Arthur retelling, but told from the perspective of Guinevere. It also has some gender bent elements to it, and really good representation, and I cannot believe I have not picked up The Camelot Betrayal yet, and then Excalibur Curse just came out, so maybe I will be doing a reread of this series as well soon. But as you can see, here is when I read it. I actually annotated it because it was for a book club, and I really enjoyed it. I think I have some notes back here. Okay, so here is what my overall thoughts were way back when. I'm still confused about a lot. I'm gonna need more backstory, but at least there should be a sequel. Kirsten is good at making me feel conflicted about love, and good overall story, between 4.5 to 5 stars. So that is where that one sat for me. So pink is like, I love it, or it's relatable. Purple is funny. Blue is sad. Yellow is, that's a great quote. Green is foreshadowing, and then orange is like other thoughts or expansion on what was said. So you can kind of gauge how I felt about the book overall from those colors. Number 6 is The Tea Dragon Society. I didn't know where to put this one, so I kind of put it like somewhere in the middle, because while it is my favorite graphic novel, there are just so many good books on this list. So Tea Dragon Society, we are following a young girl who comes across this couple who has these tea dragons, and she basically goes into an apprenticeship with them to learn how to care for these tea dragons. And a tea dragon is essentially, you have these like little dudes you care for, and they grow leaves on them when they're cared for properly, and you can like pluck the leaves off and use them to brew tea, and the tea that you drink allows you to relive like past core memories. I don't know if I'm explaining that the best, but the like representation in this is so cute. The art is adorable, and who doesn't love a good dragon story? I mean, come on. But Katie O'Neill is definitely one of my favorite graphic novel authors, so I did pick up a few of her other graphic novels as well. Number 5 is Spin the Dawn. This is actually the Fairy Loot edition. I did unhaul the Owlcrate edition just because I loved this Fairy Loot edition so much, and it matches their edition of 6 Crimson Cranes. Spin the Dawn comes in at number 5 for me. This is somewhat of, it's pitched as Mulan meets Project Runway, but, and I understand where they're coming from, but Project Runway portion is really only like half of the first book of the duology. So I would say it's a young girl wants to become the Emperor's tailor, and in this society women are not allowed to be tailors. So she impersonates her brother to enter the competition to become the like royal tailor, and in the competition is to create gowns and attire for the Emperor's betrothed, but his betrothed is very against being betrothed, so she's doing everything in her power to delay the wedding and like not marry the Emperor. So each of her tasks are completely outlandish, and the final task is to make 3 dresses, one from the moon, one from the stars, and one from the sun. And so Project Runway is like the first half, and then the last half is our main character going on the journey to collect pieces of the moon and stars and sun. So go in with that knowledge that the competition is not the entire book, but it is still a really fun book, and I really enjoyed reading it. Number 4 is Four Dead Queens by Asha Schulte. This is a murder mystery fantasy in which we are following Carolee. Yeah, Carolee is the almost like a little thief or pickpocket to get by, and she comes across plans for someone to assassinate the 4 queens, and she is on the mission to stop this from happening. However, we also have like a second perspective in which the queens have already died, so we're learning like how they died and who did it and that sort of thing. So this was a really fun book. I actually made my mom read this because I loved it so much, and she also really enjoyed it. And if they ever make this into a movie, I would die to play Carolee, so there's that. Coming in at number 3, we have Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This is a fantasy standalone about a girl named Elizabeth who is the keeper of grimoires, or books that can come to life. And one day when it is like her duty to watch the library, or I don't remember if it's her specific duty that night, but a grimoire escapes and attacks the town, and it is blamed on her essentially. So she has to team up with her mortal enemy Nathaniel, who is a sorcerer, and together they have to figure out who stole the grimoire, how it escaped, that sort of thing. And the only reason this is at number 3 and not higher is because it is a standalone, and I want more. I need more of this book because it ended on such a like vague ending, and I just want more so much of this book. So that's the only reason it's not higher. Coming in at number 2 is House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. This is kind of like a dark retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, and has like tendencies that you might find in like Caraval or Where Dreams Descend, that illusionary magic slash like unreliable narrator aspect, and I really enjoyed that. So we are following a young girl who has several sisters, and the town believes that these sisters have been cursed because each of the sisters keeps dying off one by one, and obviously we're trying to figure out why, who's doing it, why it's happening, that sort of thing, and we're following one of the sisters. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's also set on like a sea-esque landscape, so I really enjoyed this one. And finally, coming in at number 1, drum roll please. Probably no surprise to anyone. Number 1 is of course Crown of Feathers. You guys know how much I adore this book. So this is a story following 3 perspectives, and our main character is Veronica. All she wants to do is be a Phoenix Rider. However, the Phoenix clan is only accepting males, so she has to disguise herself as a male in order to join. And then we're also following Tristan, who is the son of the commander of this clan, and he is a Phoenix Rider afraid of fire. And our final perspective is Sev, who is a soldier in the army, and in this society it is frowned upon to have any sort of animal magic, so he is an animage in disguise and really having like an inner conflict about whether like being a soldier is okay. Should he reveal himself? Should he join the animage slaves and free them? What should he do? Great representation, phoenixes. I mean, honestly, what more could you want? And then this is my Owlcrate copy, so I didn't read this one when I annotated it. So just so you can see like how much I adored this. There's also 2 other books. It is a finally finished series. I've done vlogs, which I will link up above, for all 3 of the books in the series, and I spent most of the 3rd book crying throughout the entire vlog, so enjoy those. But those are my ranked Owlcrate 2019 books. Let me know what you guys thought of these books, if you've read any of them, or what book boxes you get or that sort of thing, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye friends!